These flakes.
5 at 5:30. President Bush in Cincinnati right now. He's talking with students at Taft High School. Then he moves on to the Cincinnati Chamber of Commerce to deliver a major policy speech. We'll have complete coverage of his visit tonight at 5:30. Plus, we'll tell you about a Navy plane that's crashed into some buildings near Philadelphia.
And there you have the President of the United States completing his speech to the students of Taft High School. He's shaking hands there with Tom Browning, obviously the pitcher of the Cincinnati Reds, Sister Jean Harrington, who is the head of the Cincinnati Youth Collaborative, for which the President of the United States gave such a big plug to. This is a day, obviously, that the students at Taft High School will always remember, the day the President of the United States came to talk to them. Most of what he said had to do with the issue of success. What success is not measured by how much money you have or, as he said, the car in your driveway, and there's no easy road to it in terms of drugs or anything like that. Basically, what he was saying is that success is measured by education and also in terms of serving others. And it was interesting, Norma, remember in his campaign, he kept talking about 1,000 points of light.
Right.
And what he said today is that the Cincinnati Youth Collaborative, which is this association of students with the business and the rest of the community, that this program is the 40th point of light. Apparently he wants to get 1,000 before his term is up, and Taft High School and the Cincinnati Youth Collaborative, congratulations, you are the 40th.
That's right. And he said he was going to be the education president. I think he's getting back to that at this point. He's dealt with drugs. He's dealt with Panama. Now he's getting back, I think, to the education point. Right now, the Cincinnati Youth Collaborative and others at Taft will have reaction to all of this. Let's go to Clyde Gray, who's down at Taft High School right now. Clyde?
All right, Norma, right now you can see some of the National Press Corps coming out, which is a pretty good sign that George Bush is either on his way out or is already out of the building. We haven't had an opportunity yet to see the limousine leave. But as you can imagine, this is one that is definitely going to make the yearbooks here at Taft High School. The president talked about them being a gem full of success stories, showing what is possible to achieve. And as you all pointed out, he talked against drugs, he talked against materialism, and encouraged the development of educational values, which can open the horizons to success. You have to wonder why it was the president chose Taft High School, and I think it all goes back to his desire to be the education president. Remember back last year, the education summit that he had, and he talked about innovative approaches to education. Well, he talked about a lot of the innovations that came out of the Cincinnati Youth Collaborative and that program here at Taft High School, and you've got to believe that that's what brought President Bush to this school today. He mentioned things related to volunteerism. He encouraged those who are volunteering with the kids in the Cincinnati Youth Collaborative. Again, that fits right in with the president who's been saying that we can't always look to the federal government to finance the things that we need to get done in our society, that a lot of it's going to have to come from individual initiative and from volunteer, cooperative volunteer efforts. You heard a lot of that in his speech this afternoon. Jerry, Norma?
Clyde, it's interesting, you know, we've been talking a lot about the Cincinnati Youth Collaborative, and maybe here's a good time to say what the goals of this organization are. As I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, the goals of the Cincinnati Youth Collaborative are to, one, make sure that every student that graduates is either ready to go to college or ready to get a job, but everybody stays in school. Is that right?
Absolutely. Again, go back to the background. Here in Cincinnati, the dropout rate in the Cincinnati public schools is 40%. Well, that obviously has the potential for crippling a lot of people in this city as time goes on down the line. So the desire of the people with the Youth Collaborative is to work between the educational community and the business community to encourage people to stay in school, to encourage them to go on as far as they possibly can in their education, or at the same time to help them understand that they can find a job if they'll just stay the course.
Okay, thanks a lot, Clyde. Obviously, yes, obviously a big day for these students of
Indeed.
Taft High School.
Very big compliment paid by the President of the United States. Yes. You can't get any higher than that.
And from here, the President is going downtown to the Hyatt Hotel, where he will speak to the Chamber of Commerce. His speech there is expected to be a preview of a major policy speech. Of course, our crews are set at the Hyatt to bring you that speech live when it happens at around, what, 2:30 this afternoon? 2:30. And we hope to see you again then.
And we'll be back. And till then, have a good afternoon.
And there you have the President of the United States to the song he has heard and probably every day of his life for this past year. This is the first year of his presidency, speaking to the Chamber of Commerce. The highlights of the speech, I suspect, when he started out first with what he called the 4 areas of unfulfilled promises by Congress that he wants to see action on. I suspect we're going to hear some of this in his State of the Union address later on this month. He talked of the area of needs, in the area of capital gains, dealing with America's children, doing something about cleaning up our air, and of course in combating crime. But I suspect he spent most of the time talking about the changes and how excited he is about the changes that are coming off in Eastern Europe. But he said, as excited as we are that the world seems to be changing and in a sense in terms of communism becoming friendlier, he said that's no time to give up on a strong defense, and that means not only keeping a strong military defense but also a strong economy. And what he said was he wants to reduce the deficit, and I suspect that also means no new taxes.
That probably does. And what he also was talking about was things on Capitol Hill. He said things are getting bogged down on Capitol Hill. Kind of a prod there to get things moving again on Capitol Hill.
And he kept thinking, according to his political philosophy, that Cincinnati is the place which represents that, the involvement of the private sector in helping out our economy. Perhaps that's the reason he chose Cincinnati to make his speech, because we so identify, at least in our local economy, with the philosophy of George Bush. The president is now, as you've seen, left the Hyatt Hotel, or at least the room in which he was giving the speech.
Along with some people outside who were there greeting him, and they're not greeting him with open arms. There's a lot of protesting going on. Right now, let's check with News 5's Marty Pieratt, who is with protesters outside the Hyatt. Marty, what are they protesting?
Well, we've had about 65 people out here protesting this afternoon, and frankly, they were not able to hear the president's speech. Most of them know that he was talking mostly about education, but they're here to protest other things today, mostly start with foreign policy, Central America. They don't think that George Bush is doing a very good job. They think they're probably putting too much emphasis on troops in Central America and impact in Central America, and not enough on things like the homeless. The people have been protesting. We might take a look right across the corner from here. You still see a few people with signs over there today. And these are a few of the people that are still hanging on. Actually, they tried to make a lot of noise as President Bush was going by, and they definitely, he didn't get to see much of it, but they still person has been arrested.
All right, we apologize for losing the signal there with Marty, but as he said, it is a small group of protesters. There wasn't a great uproar going on out there at all.
Right. I suspect it is part of any president's life that wherever you travel, there are going to be people that see this as an opportunity to express their particular point of view, and in this case, it's different than that of the president's, and so they show up wherever he speaks.
Well, President Bush is going to be leaving the Hyatt shortly. He'll be going back out to the airport. He's going to fly again from Union Terminal by helicopter out to the airport, where he'll get on Air Force One and leave. Kind of a whirlwind trip here.
Yes, but he's, I think we got a preview of what we're going to see in the State of the Union address, and he chose Cincinnati to give that preview, and obviously the people here are pretty excited about that. Of course, we'll follow him throughout the afternoon, and we'll have a complete wrap-up of the president's visit to Cincinnati on News 5 at 5:30. We hope to see you then.
High school horrors, high school heroes.